Hello there everyone, welcome to the next mission in the Big Show campaign here in DCS. This mission I've got to admit, a little bit nervous about flying for quite some time based on what I've read in the briefing. It looks like this is going to be a long mission that requires a lot of level flying and a little bit of navigation. So it may turn out to be rather tedious from a YouTube video point of view, but hopefully we can keep it interesting. Now I've got to fly a calibration mission, and this is in order to calibrate British radar stations, and this is apparently mimicking a mission which Pierre Closterman himself flew. Here's the basic plan for the mission: is to fly out on a bearing of 126 for 132 nautical miles. That's a long trip. And then we turn north onto 1 degree for 80, and then back to the west to the field for 110 nautical miles. The altitude for this flight is going to be 30,000 feet. So we're going to be right up high. Fortunately, that means we can bring the pitch right back and bring the fuel consumption down as well via the boost. So we should be running pretty lean, and I suspect I'm going to be dropping the reserve tank somewhere around waypoint alpha. The wind is going to be from the west at 6 knots, so I'm going to adjust these directions ever so slightly. I'm actually going to fly probably about 130 on the first leg. I'll probably fly about 357 on the second leg, and then the third leg will not need adjusting because we'll have almost direct headwind. Got to remember to use channel Bravo on my radio during ground, and then as soon as I've taken off, I'm going to switch to channel Charlie according to the briefing, and then we'll get further instructions. So that is the mission. Let's jump in and fly, and we'll see if I can complete this successfully. It may not look like it, but I have spawned in the aircraft here. It is very early in the morning and it's quite dark, and I'm sure it will look even darker with the YouTube video compression, which always makes things look darker. There is a aircraft off to my left there. It's got its ground lights on, so I'm going to turn mine on very shortly. Just get some of the instruments up here by using my throttle. Make sure the brakes are fully on. And I'm just going to touch the cockpit lamps just to bring those up. Okay, there we go. And now I can dim them down a bit to suit. That'll do. Right, and we'll turn the external lights on. So there we go. Starboard green and port red are on, and the tail light is on as well. So we can at least now go through the start procedure with a bit more confidence.
All clear. Switch is on.
Magnetos, start cover and boost cover, fuel cock, fuel pressure valve, fuel pump, primer lock, and I'm going to prime the engine with about 6 pulls of the primer pump here because it's early morning, so it might be a little bit cool. 5, 6 of those. Reconfirm the brakes are on. Check the flaps are in the up position. Full fine pitch. A little bit of throttle there. Okay, and we'll just check that the prop is clear. Very good. Let's ignite this engine. A little bit much prop, but we're okay. And we'll turn the gun sight on. Very good. Now we need channel Bravo on the radio. Turn all the radio on. We're going to taxi to 270. I don't actually know where 270 is, and I can't see a blimmin' thing here. We're facing 3-3, so the heading of 27 is just off to my left a little bit. Take the brakes off. And I'm just going to taxi forward ever so slightly here. So a dawn taxi and take off here. Very nice. And I'm just following the taxiway here in front of me. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it's just a fraction paler than the rest of the field. I've got a windsock just off to my 1 o'clock position. I'm going to taxi towards that windsock in the hope that that's where the runway is. Now there's a much easier way of doing this, and that is actually just to use the F10 map, which I wouldn't normally do, but because we are spawning in the dark, dancing in the dark, all I need to do is turn right slightly and I'm taking off on 27, so we're bang on the right position here. The reason I'm doing that is because you would of course know where your aircraft had been parked were this a real life situation, so it makes perfect sense to check that map. Okay, this is 27 right in front of me now. The windsock is just off there to the right, and you can see the wind is blowing very gently from the west as well. And there's a flare. Okay, flare's just gone up in the distance. Okay, I'm going to set my altimeter for this airfield. And we're going to get airborne now. I'm going to make this a very gentle takeoff. I'm just watching the line on the right side of the cockpit here to get a feel for my heading. Okay, the nose is dropped now. We don't have a landing light either, so really difficult to see in front. And we'll pull back on the stick. There we go. We are airborne. Gear coming up. Close the canopy. We're heading towards the west. We need to turn left onto 126. I'm going to start my turn early here, bringing the prop pitch back, changing to channel Charlie. I'm going to climb at about 6 pounds boost, 2600 RPM. There's the east where the sun is rising. Come a little bit further left, just slowly getting my aircraft trimmed. Going to keep everything super smooth here. Super smooth, lots of trimming and a little bit of nose down. I'm going to take my feet off the rudder pedals very shortly just to check that we're trimmed. Not quite on heading yet, but that's okay. I'm just going to adjust once the aircraft is flying itself. Bit more right trim, bit more right trim. Okay, feet off the rudders. You can see the nose swings about, and I still need a bit more trim here. Gosh, lots and lots of right trim. Okay, we're just about done. Let's get ourselves into a climb. I'm going to climb at about 170 miles per hour indicated. Can boost up again now to 6 pounds. Bit more nose up. And the lights will come off externally in just a moment. Going to come left onto 126. That's good, I like that heading. External lights off. And I'm going to turn the cockpit lighting down as well. Don't really need that so much now. Just makes it a little easier to see out. Gear shows is up. Flaps are up. I could dim the gun sight a little. It's a little extreme, but I'm going to keep it. as it is. And I do have key bindings for those cockpit lights, so if I quickly need to find something, I can bind the key and then just use the mouse to dim back down again. Right, it's going to be time to change to make sure we're using the reserve tank. So for that I actually am going to need my lights on. Going off heading already. Gonna have to keep adjusting left. Keep the climb going. Going up to Angel 6. So, first phase of this is to make sure that my fuel is on the reserve tank, and then I'm going to have to turn off the main tank. Now unfortunately, as you can see, this whole area of the cockpit is completely unlit. That means I can't actually see where my fuel instruments are in order to change to the right tank, which means I'm now burning fuel from the main tank, and I'm not going to be able to switch to the reserve tank till the sun comes up. This is problematisch, to say the least. Gosh, I'm not really flying on course. I need to get back over here. Which means if we do get into combat, I will have the external tank still attached. Not ideal, but due to the lighting conditions, I'm unable to change it. Yeah, I just can't see enough here, and I'm not confident enough that I'm going to hit the right controls, which I don't have bound to key bindings. I'm not confident that I'm going to hit the right ones here in order to avoid turning off the main fuel and killing myself. Let's keep climbing. The sun is rising though, so it won't take too long until we've got some good light in the cockpit. It's quite impressive. I'm now up at 30,000 plus feet, 31,000 in fact. I've got my engine relatively low RPM, 2250, 2300, and I'm on about 1 to 2 pounds boost. We've crossed the French coast a few minutes back, or a minute back, and I'm still heading towards the first waypoint, which should be Beauvais, dead ahead somewhere. Probably could do a little left course correction. I don't know how I'm going to be sure when I'm right over the correct location. See some of the river systems over here where the fog is sitting down in the low ground in the rivers. It's quite a nice effect that we get in DCS with the low fog, and it hugs the valleys. It looks really cool from up here at altitude. I think I'm going to check the cockpit with the lights turned off. Oh yeah, I've got plenty of daylight now, so I don't need the floodlit cockpit anymore. All the instruments are quite readable from here.
Dagger 25, Dagger 25, Piper calling, orbit please, A for Able.
Right, that looks like an instruction for me to orbit, which I'm going to do. A for Able. So, that's an instruction. I must be just about at the right waypoint, so we're going to do the radar calibration.
25, Piper here. What are your angels?
My angels are 3, 1.5.
Dagger answering Angel X for X-ray.
So this is scripted audio files playing here. I don't actually have to report my altitude in. And I'm orbiting over the approximate location of the radar station. Soon they'll be giving me my next waypoint, which is heading 001. I'm just going to maintain this orbit here. And it looks like I'm dropping a fraction, so I can pull the nose up just to gain that altitude back, although we are at 31 or 30,500 feet, so I can slip under that contrail. Seeing them in the mirror there. The contrail pouring out behind. Waiting for the instruction to move on.
Hello, Dagger 25, Piper here, steer 090 degrees.
Okay, that's a very interesting instruction to steer 090. So I'm turning on to 090 now. That's not part of my original briefing. My original briefing would have been to turn north there. You can see my contrail from the circle I just made. So heading 090 now. Come right a fraction. And I'm just going to fly directly towards the sun. That's a nice helpful marker. Now we need to come left. Let's put the sun on the right hand side of the reflector sight glass. That's just about perfect. Just in that gap there. Angels currently 30,450. So I'm 450 feet too high, but I'm accepting that margin of error. I've got a contrail dead ahead. I'm going to climb. I've just seen this. Guns are armed. Oh yeah, he's well above me. I'm going to climb heavy. This could be hostile. Okay, for 2800 RPM. Get this nose up. Angels 3-1, he's above me. I need altitude. Up, up, up. Well, this could be bad. He's moving from my left to right, and he's, I think...
Dagger 25, Piper calling. Look out, you're being shadowed by a Hun.
Yeah, I see him, thank you. Nothing behind me, is there? Oh, I'm going to have to get this guy into a turn because he is not low on energy at all. He's coming straight at me with good energy. I need to get him to turn. Right, is he diving now? Yes, he is. He's in a steep dive. He's now trying to cut me off. I'm going to roll back the other way. He's reversing his turn already. Back I go. He's doing the same again. Back I go. He's over the top. Okay. Now the Spitfire will do its job, because I should be able to outperform this guy up here without too much trouble. He's dropped below contrail height, but I can still see him. Right, he should be right in the middle of my gun sight and there. Throttling back. Just gonna lag him. Okay. I'm blacking out a little bit. Just a bit of excess airspeed there, pulling a bit too much G. He's gone underneath me. He's gonna pop out on the left. Unfortunately, I lost sight of him there. He's behind me. That's okay. He's actually gaining on me now too. Oh, that's frustrating. Losing sight of contacts is such a regular phenomena for me. And I'm stalling this aircraft. Come on, girl, give me speed. Oh yeah, I'm slow. Got to belay this very gently. Just the slightest of turns up here causes the aircraft to stall. I'm doing a 120, I need airspeed. We're both going around in circles at low airspeed. Okay, nice long level turns. As long as we're turning, the Spitfire will control the fight. Just getting a bit edgy here, so I'm going to let him away. There we go. He's going to go up in front of me. Hopefully he doesn't loop over. That would be rather disastrous, but he doesn't have the energy for this. Closing. I hit him. Just a fraction. It's a 109K4. I actually thought it might be a Focke-Wulf at first, but it's a 109, and he's going into a left-hand spiral. He will pull away from me if he maintains this, but he's not going to. He's going to climb up in front of me now. Probably be able to get the death shot here. Yeah, this is over, this fight. Chopped a section off his tail. He's just falling over. I'm gonna... Or was that his left aileron? Left aileron. Oh, he's still flying though. And flying quite well. Okay, the damage I did there wasn't as severe as I thought it was. And I actually presented him with an opportunity, which was a bit poor. Oof. No airspeed. 220, okay. Airspeed's fine. I can see it's very hard for me to maintain the turn up here at altitude, but he's struggling as well, especially with the aileron missing. Inside him now. Using a bit of right rudder there. How's my airspeed look? 200. We should be okay going around in circles. I'm well inside. I think he's going to try and come up in a second. Oh, that was poor. Going. It's a long way away from me and he's very fast. Look at that. We're dropping down to his performance altitude soon. Up he comes. Okay, throttle back. Throttle back. I don't want to overshoot here. Just missed. Oh. Let's go up. Supercharger back on. I'm out of trim. Not sure where he is now. There. Okay, let's see how well I can get this thing turning. That's it. That's my max turn rate. Don't see him. There, I do see him. Come on, stay turning. Keep turning. Full throttle, full RPM. Oh, I can't turn anymore. To be honest, I'm surprised he can turn either, because he's lost a section of wing. Couple more hits there. Okay, I'm just a bit worried about my fuel situation. Gonna just drop my boost back for a moment. He's a wee way behind and a bit lower, so I think I've got an opportunity here just to get him into a turn again. I think he's gaining on me though, yeah he is. Okay, full throttle again. Get him in a turn, a climbing turn if I can. Okay, try and reverse it. And then reverse one more time. Bad idea. Bad idea. Nose up. Good, 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 good. Keep that nose up, mister. Oh! Okay, there's my fuel. So, quickly. Main fuel on. Wow, that was nearly disastrous. Okay, I'm going to also try and drop my external tank. Okay, external tank away. Wow, in the middle of a dogfight, hey? There goes my external tank. That'll just give me a little bit more turn performance now and airspeed. Oh yeah, it feels better already. Jeez. Fighting up at this altitude. Ugh. Here it comes. See my aircraft really buffeting. Been in this situation a few times now. Rolling around on top of this guy. It's been a long dogfight. Okay, don't overturn, don't overturn. Just check the nose forward a fraction. I've got the upper hand again. Follow this guy around. I've just got to be so gentle here without taking the temptation. There's a very strong temptation to try and pull lead before I'm in a position to. Now he's going to get me. Oh, yeah, see, I can't do that. Too much lead. and I just run out of airspeed, I have to let him get ahead of me there. Gentle, gentle, gentle. I'm really gently back on the, very gently back on the pitch on the elevator. Hart might have a chance here. Can I get the nose forward? It's a huge amount of deflection required for this. I don't think I can get enough lead. I think I'll stall. I've just got to wait. I've got to wait. Here we go. That's better. Closer, closer, closer. Better. Much better. All right. Very, very slow, painful dogfight that required so much patience. And there were quite a few times there where I just didn't have the patience. I'm on 240, so let's turn right onto north. And just pulling back a bit too much on quite a few occasions. And the aircraft has a lot of trouble up at altitude, but we managed to survive this little scrap.
Piper calling, long transmission please. Did you get that, honey?
Hello Piper, Dagger 25 answering and transmitting for fix. Got him all right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am getting short of juice. May I go home?
Hello, Dagger 25. Steer 305 degrees. Good show.
Okay, 305. Good. I've received my instructions to head home, so we are not going to be proceeding with the rest of the radar calibration. 305 for home. Slightly north of west. I wish that guy hadn't have been above me so much. Oh, he really came in with, I don't know, 2,500, 3,000 feet altitude advantage. Let's check how much fuel we've got. Okay, I'm not even on the reserve yet, which is good news. Got plenty of altitude here. So now I'm going to set the aircraft up in a level flight. I'm on low RPM, low fuel consumption, and we're going to make the trip back to home base. Not terribly far from home now, and I've spotted some aircraft over here. We've got two sections of 4. They are heading out towards France, friendly formation. Just going to let them whip past there. We're above the cloud, as you can see. Beachy Head off to the 3 o'clock low position, the Isle of Wight off in the distance over there, and home base is in that direction. So we're going to keep the heading going, and sooner or later I'm going to drop down below the cloud, depending on how high it is. Actually, I think this might be low fog, so I better not drop below it because that will put me in the drink. But I'll at least drop down to an altitude where I can see the field, and then we'll set up shortly and hopefully for a landing.
Hello Piper, Dagger here, checking out, returning to base.
Hello, Dagger. Piper answering. Roger. Out.
So back to channel Bravo, which is my home field channel on the radio. Gonna shed this altitude as quickly as possible here. Threshold for 27 is right there in the middle of the screen. There are aircraft getting airborne by the looks of it, so I'm gonna now turn right and sort of set up to join on the base. I think the base turn. – 4,000 feet. – 3,000 feet. Actually, I'm going to join the downwind. That is just as easy. 2,000. Good thing my altimeter was set. I'm going to turn right now. I'm going to shed this airspeed in a right hand turn, climbing a little. There's the field. Right, downwind. 1,300, just settling down a little bit on the altitude. Airspeed's nice and low at 130, perfect. Low enough to open the canopy now too. A bit far from the field, I'll just close up a little. 1,000 feet, 120. A little bit of throttle. And we'll make a left descending turn. Just make up the threshold still. Flaps down. There goes the nose. Pulling back on the stick to arrest the drop. Okay, going to try a curved approach, but we may end up just having to level out at the last bit. Because I think if I keep curving in, I'm going to end up inside the runway. Yep. 100, so a bit of airspeed please, gear down. Good, gear is down. Got an aircraft just on the right of the threshold here, that's a bit naughty, and the green flare down the end, I'll take that. Airspeed's fast, throttle back. Airspeed's good, 100 across the fence, onto the threshold, a bit high. Good. Back on the stick now, the gear is all down, tail's down, brakes are on. Taxi to parking area. Thank you very much. Good. There we go. Mission complete. Quite an entertaining one as well. Despite the long flight legs, there's enough going on in these missions that Reflected has put in here in terms of communications, in terms of audio, just bits and pieces, nice little touches to keep you very much engaged and entertained. So thanks, Reflected. Still enjoying this campaign. I'm going to taxi off the runway here. We're not going to go all the way to the parking area. Let's just use the grass. So that dogfight at altitude, very difficult, and I'm sure there are much better pilots than me out there who could have dispatched that guy in far fewer turns and with far less shots. But I don't get much practice at combat up at that very high altitude. Most of the online stuff is down very low, and the aircraft really does handle incredibly different up at altitude. Bit disappointing to see that the AI still seem to be able to maneuver quite well when they're missing ailerons. We are still awaiting the damage model, the revised damage model in DCS. And when that happens, I suspect that losing an aileron like that will severely handicap the AI. It doesn't really do that at the moment. So you're basically fighting against a competent, fully performing aircraft right to the end. But we know these changes are on their way, so we won't have to put up with this for terribly much longer. I said I wasn't going to return to the parking area, but here we are. Back at dispersal, and this is a nice little dispersal that Reflected has built here. You can see we've got some troops in a jeep that I nearly taxied into, and a line of Spitfires I also nearly taxied into just then. Some fuel tanks. A couple more Spitfires. More transport. Very nice. I'm going to park here next to this one. Next to Oscar 3 or 003. Let's turn the brakes on. And we will shut down the engine. Keen-eyed among you will notice that I only raised the flaps at the last minute there. That was a piloting error on my behalf. They should have come up earlier. There we have it. Mission complete. Very enjoyable. Once again.